that mean?
The Magnus Archives.
What does that mean? Astrid, what do we do? Astrid, what do we do?
Archives is a podcast distributed by Rusty Quill.
I don't know.
Licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 international license.
What do you want? What could you possibly want me to react to? Melanie blinding herself. Adelaide's death. Jon killing Peter Lucas, the penultimate. And you know what? I was right about everything. Elias is Jonah Magnus. He uses his own eyes, and Jonah's corpse is in the heart of Millbank Prison. I was right about everything. Except for the archivist. I've let them pull me in. And I've liked it. They make me feel powerful and strong. Complicit. But I'm done. You cannot watch me anymore. I am so tired, and I am so angry, and I am all alone, and I am done, and you cannot watch me. I'm going to stop, so get away from me. Ah! Please. No, stop it. I see you. I told you that I am done. I am not doing this anymore, so stop trying to make me. Oh no. Okay.
Edwin?
Percy, Ash is here. What does she want?
What?
I don't need you to fry my brain with spoilers. I need to know.
Can I talk to her?
What? Percy...
Just for a second, please, Edwin.
Perseus, darling, be a dear and leave the two of us to talk for a moment.
Please.
Hi, Ash.
I'm not going to hurt you, Edwin. You don't look like yourself.
The web. Percy's statement, you serve the web, so what does it want with me?
Oh, your commitment to your starvation is commendable. You're not even compelling me. But you, of all people, should know what it's like to want to be more than just a monster. Why do I have to be here only for the web? I'm here for you. Marked Archivist.
Don't call me by a title. We're friends. The least you can do is actually just talk to me.
That is exactly why I'm here, Edwin. I was worried about you. So, I came to give my statement.
What? I don't want it.
Don't tell me you're not curious.
But why now?
Because You're all alone. And I don't want you to be.
Oh. We can't just talk, you know. I've missed you. We can catch up like normal people.
So you don't want to know how I found the archives?
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to. I just figured you deserved one last statement before you cut yourself off, before you leave it alone.
I've been making good progress.
Would it help if I said it's not an entirely selfless act? I need to get it off my chest. I need somebody to know. It would give me some reprieve for you to listen. You'd be helping me.
But the dreams...
Might just fade as you stave yourself off.
I don't...
I'm pretty sure you've already made up your mind.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you want to introduce me?
Statement of Ashlyn Spinner regarding her history with the Magnus Archives. Recorded direct from subject. Statement begins.
Telling a story is a lot like weaving a web, don't you think? Words become like silk, woven together arduously, interlacing, wrapped around each other in such fine and intricate ways that it's so very easy to get lost looking at a single strand. You hardly even see the whole web anymore. It's not until you take a step back that you can finally see if you've made something that can ensnare, or if it would all just blow away in the breeze. I grew up with very few friends. Family was distant, and no one on the playground wanted to play with the strange boy mumbling to himself on the swing set. So I escaped to the worlds inside my head. There I was a master of it all. Every single thing I wanted to happen, happened. You come to love your creations, your characters. You know them better than you know the real world. I knew my characters. I knew them so very well, and I loved them for it. Of course, real people came along eventually. Percy and I found each other, and pined for far too long until we finally admitted it. But you know that story. You were sworn to secrecy on both our accounts, watching us in hopes that we finally figured it out. Then I met you and Astrid in March of 2021. The two of you were giggling in the back of the lecture hall, arguing about Kant's theory of the sublime. I don't think I've ever seen two people so equally mischievous and ravenously attentive. Until, of course, you introduced me to Henrik the next year. Do you remember how I learned about your powers? We were in the dining hall together for lunch, making small talk, until you halted in your tracks, lightly touching my shoulder, and moved me to the left. Just then, another student tripped and poured her soup right where I was. I believe I called you Spider-Man for the rest of the week. In exchange for keeping me unscalded, I shared my own small ability. Hovering my hand over the orange that was thrown off my lunch tray, it drifted back up into my grasp. I remember it so clearly. You stared at me with that curious grin of yours, and the first thing you asked was if I've ever tried to pick a lock like that. Always prophetic, you. Your story channeling took a bit longer to learn about, but needless to say, I used to be jealous. one of my closest friends could just make stories a little bit real. Caused you the occasional danger, yes, but oh, how I envied you. But you already know this, Edwin, and they've had the adequate context. Let's skip ahead to the fun bits, shall we? Enter the Magnus Archives. At first, just some background noise for a summer internship at a publishing house. A thrill to keep me company in my cubicle. It was July 20th where, on my commute, I listened to Weaver. Oh, the things I could say about Miss Kane. Then, when I arrived at my desk, there was something waiting for me. A gray, leather-bound book with a spider crawling across it. You know, I suppose it's a bit funny. Someone else would have just squashed the thing. But I've always loved spiders. They're cute, and they're useful. It wasn't until after I ferried the little thing safely to a cozy, fly-filled corner that I even registered the journal was there at all. And when I opened it up, I saw that each and every page was blank. You know, in most of your statements, people never recognize what's going on until it's too late. But I had Magnus on the mind. My very first thought was, if this is a Lightner, I've never seen one that's a journal. I laughed to myself, and I picked up a pen. I didn't hesitate to write my swirling signature on the inside cover. And just like that, it was mine. In went outlines, conversations, script ideas, anything that brought on creativity. I still don't know if it was originally the simple thrill of a new notebook or something more immediately terrorizing. That flow state came so easily. Whenever I put pencil to page, the sentences would spin and spin and spin. It was an artist's dream. So, in control of your work, yet guided by that inspiration that you just can never seem to pinpoint the source of. It felt like I was touched by a muse, a hypnotic state of creation. I believe that interpretation isn't very far off from reality. After about 2 months, I noticed something strange. The most recent script I was drafting used the name of one of my co-workers, Reese Sanderson, a copywriting assistant. A bit clumsy, but quick with their work and excellent at critique. I didn't consciously remember choosing to write that name there myself. Sometimes when you're so entranced in your artistry, snapping out of the aftermath causes you to forget the specifics of what you've just created. Like it was a song, and I couldn't quite recall the lyrics. So I turned back a few pages to revise what I wrote. The story told of me walking over to Reese's desk, asking them to help me bring up reams of paper from the storage closet in the basement. They refused dismissively, preferring not to be disrupted. I asked again, and they stood firm. Frustrated, but not enough to push it, I went to turn and leave it be, when there it was. An itsy-bitsy spider, all gray and spindly, floating down from her web. Reese took no notice. Not when it landed on my shoulder, not when I froze in place as though paralyzed by its poison, and not when it crawled right up and into my ear. And then it began to speak in my very own voice. If we ran down to the storage closet, we can steal some of the leftovers from this morning's lunch. So how's it for a journey to a meal? And with a sly smile, Reese stood up to join me. I don't quite remember when my legs began to work again. I don't quite remember when I stopped reading the story and started acting it out instead. One moment I was there, shivering against the sensation of little legs skittering against my eardrum, and the next I was walking down the crooked steps, through the repetitive corridors, to the solitary storage closet. Reese reached out a hand, pushed at the door, and slid it open with laces of spider webs stretching like sinew across the gap. You know, I never questioned it for a second. A strange book, stranger spiders, a body that was mine, but not just mine anymore. How could it possibly be anything other than Magnus? The realization filled me with joy. The story was real, and it was happening to me. A little spider rested on the door handle, or maybe it was nesting somewhere else. It sang to me of my little trick that would lock Reese in. I did not hesitate. There was skittering across the floor. They came from behind me, made their way to my sides, past my feet, and under the closet door. Little, gray, beautiful spiders, more than I could count. Reese called to me, begged my name. I flatly said that the door had jammed. Their pleas grew into shouts and into screams, agonizing to my ears. But all I had to do was put in my headphones and play another episode of the Archives. I smiled. The voice in my ear smiled too. Now that I think of it, maybe there never was a spider in my ear. Maybe I just needed a little push, a little voice telling me exactly what I needed to say, needed to do to get what I wanted. A little bit of inspiration. I can still hear her, feel her spinning a web around my brain like a big cozy blanket. But maybe that's just all in my head. Reese didn't die, of course. Dozens of small spider bites can only get you so far. There was no husk, no chelicerae, no giant spindly legs, just spider bites. And I found that disappointing, wrong. Too small a price for something so grand, like something was holding it back, holding her back, like she couldn't break through. She needs to come closer. There needs to be a door. Here's the thing about stories. They're not just made up of a world and its people. You have to do something to that world. There needs to be conflict, stakes. So you learn to do terrible things to your creations. Not in spite of your love for them, but because of it. The Magnus Archives was a good story. And you know what happened to the people in it? Bad things. Very bad things. I love you, Eddie. And I love Percy even more than anything in the world. What better way to show that love than to help you tell a good story? To introduce you to the beautiful sublime. I know you. I know that deep down you were dying for a story like this. The chance to become this. I just pointed you in the right direction. Another world, another web, another archivist, another tale to be told. And you truly thought you were something different, something new, something that wasn't the archivist at all the while saying point blank that you thought this broadcast of yours was making the fears stronger. Henrik got it perfectly correct. You are a ritual to bring the horrors closer. But the one thing you didn't predict, the one theory you never made, the one thing you never saw, all that you are going through has always been the path of an archivist. There is another title I've been calling you, though. Something a bit more akin to spinning tales. Have you felt it yet? Has the broadcast told you? The archivist is the archive, and you are...
The Chronicle of Terror.
Yes, Eddie. Those words of Magnus himself. You're the archivist of the story. You are the archive of the Magnus Archives. But how does one cultivate an archivist? Create a chosen one? It can't be identical to the works of Jonah because the powers over here are not nearly as strong. No, we don't have the power to start an apocalypse. But we can wreak some havoc, surely. Trap some flies for the great spider and let her feast. And lucky for me, my dearest friend was built for the task. Your powers, Edwin. Your power of stories. You channel stories through yourself, bring a bit of that world to you, to experience it, to learn it, to chronicle it. I witnessed it in action for the first time regarding a story of a sleepy town in Oregon. Then you said the perfect words. You told me that they feel like a door. And it clicked. Time is of the essence for these sorts of things, although I haven't been waiting 200 years for my victory. But that doesn't mean now isn't the perfect time to create you. There was already a neon sign of approval. Haven't you heard? It's the 10-year anniversary of Rusty Quill this year. What wonderful timing. The horrors are a distant drum, nothing to the scale of the show itself. But if Jon can pull an apocalypse through his head, then why can't my archivist do a fraction of that? If I was careful enough, if I pulled the right strings. So I gave you a glowing recommendation. You should listen to the Magnus Archives. I think you are perfect for the story it tells. And I may have introduced you to, but you carried the conversation. And I could never have predicted how rapidly you drank it in. The next step in the process was to make sure you were dreaming, that you truly were becoming some form of archivist. To ensure this, you needed statements of your own, which I supplied with Percy. My dearest would do the trick. But he needed to be pushed. He needed to be angry. He needed to be afraid. I truly think the hardest task of it all was to convince my Percy that I hate him. He is and will always be the love of my life. Devotion is a complicated thing. Maybe he'll still love me after all this. But we do what we must for the love of our patrons. And he gave you quite the dream. Now, the marks. You got rather close to working out this one, but not close enough. Jonah's biggest struggle wound up being my easiest. Your quotes, your channeling, of course, marked you deeply with fear when you pulled from the avatars, the books, the monsters. Direct statements helped too, anything that made you deeply afraid. You collected almost all of them by the end of Season 3. Except, of course, for the spider. But our dear Astrid took care of that, didn't she? With a bit of my guidance, of course. And my goodness, making you quote Annabel Cain? Stealing your own free will for her own revenge? She's got cruelty under her skin, Edwin. I see why you like her. Astrid and Henrik's stunt also removed the potential roadblock that damned Leitner might have been, and provided one more reassurance that you could no longer resist a quotation. But the marks alone would not be enough for us to simply replicate the ritual in the story. We needed something more. We needed a bridge, something supernatural and original and powerful in this world that can intertwine with the horrors themselves. Something to bridge the story to us. And I couldn't help but notice that none of the horrors can see the future. It's just not a thing in the archives. Those themes of inevitability, fate, and free will, Shakespearean prophecy, they never presented themselves through the concept of foresight. That is all you. It is something you've always done. I still truly cannot believe how perfect of a subject you are. One power is the door and the other is a bridge. I just needed you to cross it. So thank the mother of puppets that the curator had those dreams about you all those months ago. Because I didn't need to do anything other than watch your hunger take root. That antiquarian's intervention based on their own fear of you is precisely what prompted their chronicling. And it was magnificent. It may be a statement of the future, but that twisting fate blurred the lines beautifully. Awful futures might be the extinction, but biting manipulation is my web. Yet even the confusion of certainty might denote the spiral, or the foretelling of finales as the end. I don't remember the last time you've predicted anything so far in the future. I'm not even sure if your foresight is undeniable. Or maybe I am sure, and I just want to watch you squirm. And your entire story is displayed on the broadcast to introduce people to the horrors, to attract those already attached, to organize and instigate fear. Those who may not be afraid of the story might certainly be afraid of you, or at the very least afraid of knowing exactly what you're walking towards, what you've been walking towards from the very beginning. But your compulsions to theorize, to investigate, to unveil the ravelings of your mind, it's not just digestion. You're speaking the story into our world, connecting the dots, connecting them to us, channeling it. Every broadcast you project enables you to tie the story to yourself. It's not just you making the choice either. You've cultivated a whole crowd of watchers who will not turn away. Seeing their world be permanently changed, you are all amplifying its power. They will not stop. And you pull each other in. A true web series. Oh, you must pardon the pun, but I feel like I've earned just the one. Jonathan Sims pulled a symphony through his head, but I need you to start with the melody. Over here, we've only got a rhythm, a faint beat. But with our archivist, with our chronicle, we can bring the fears to be as powerful as they were at the start of the tale. So, here you are, pulling the notes through. But this isn't the end of the ritual yet. Oh, Edwin, you've still got so much of the story to eat. There's nothing you can do but wait and watch. We can't open the door for us until then. But right now, I want to open the door for you. And I know how much you love the music. Edwin, darling, I'm going to need you to say a few lines for me.
No.
A small favor for an old friend.
Stay away from me!
We've got some words from our dear friend Jonah.
No!
Some things I'm going to need you to share.
Stay away from me! Please, stay away! The knife. Where's my knife? I have to...
Edwin Endicott. Repeat after me.
Repeat after me. You who watch and know and understand none. You who listen and hear and will not comprehend. You who wait and drink in all that is not yours by right. Come to us in your wholeness. Come to us in your perfection. Bring all that is fear, and all that is terror, and all that is the awful dread that crawls and chokes and blinds and falls and twists and leaves and hides and weaves and burns and hunts and rips and bleeds and dies. Come to us. I open the door!